There are multiple developments occurring with credit cards at present that every senior ought to understand prior to their upcoming statement appearing. Certain ones represent modifications that have taken place silently without any notice provided to consumers. Others consist of courtroom conflicts that specifically influence the amount you spend on charges each and every month. Plus, one among them constitutes a snare that has already harmed the credit ratings of individuals who are handling matters correctly. Individuals who believed they were acting cautiously because the guidelines shifted without anybody informing them. Today, I shall review every aspect of it. My name is Nancy Ahad. I am a licensed estate attorney. I have dedicated more than 10 years examining the monetary regulations that silently impact senior finances annually. And prior to diving into today's credit card information, I wish to note something I developed especially for viewers of this channel. I authored a handbook titled The Social Security Survival Guide. 7 principles the banks, the IRS, and Medicare never clarify. If you are 65 or above possessing a bank account, Social Security, or Medicare, at least one among these principles is probably costing you funds presently, and you remain unaware of it yet. The handbook addresses the $10,000 bank reporting principle and the harmless error that marks your account, the joint account choice that leaves your savings vulnerable to your child's obligations, the IRMAA surcharge linked to earnings from 2 years prior, and the single form that undoes it, the inherited IRA timeframe most households overlook, WEP and GPO reductions, and whether you are due funds presently. 44 pages, straightforward language, large print layout, actual 2026 numbers. The link appears in the description. Now let us examine the credit card regulations that are shifting presently. Matter 1, the $8 overdue fee limit. What occurred and the current status of affairs. Allow me to begin with the narrative that has continued for more than 2 years, and that experienced a major fresh development merely this past week. You have likely learned at some moment that the authorities intended to restrict credit card overdue fees to $8. That regulation was suggested by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau in March 2024. The concept was simple. The biggest credit card providers had been imposing $30 for an initial overdue payment, and as much as $41 for following overdue payments within the identical year. Sums the CFPB claimed greatly surpassed the genuine expense to the institution of handling an overdue payment and were operating as pure profit-taking. The $8 limit would have conserved American consumers an approximate $10 billion annually. Here is what truly occurred. Within days of the regulation being completed, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, the American Bankers Association, and various additional industry organizations initiated a lawsuit in federal court in Texas, claiming the CFPB had gone beyond its power. A federal judge prevented the regulation from becoming active. Then, when the present administration arrived, the CFPB completely changed direction. The agency and the banking industry organization submitted a combined request, urging the court to forever discard the regulation. In April 2025, the judge approved that request. The $8 regulation is eliminated, legally finished. Most major institutions currently still impose $30 for an initial overdue payment and $41 for following ones. Here is what recently occurred this week. On July 7th and 8th of 2026, various financial news sources indicated that the CFPB has filed a fresh request for information regarding credit card overdue fees and overdue payments to the White House's Office of Information and Regulatory Affairs. A request for information frequently represents the initial official stage before a fresh rulemaking procedure starts. Experts doubt that another regulation limiting overdue fees will truly succeed, considering the legal background. Yet the reality that CFPB is restarting this review indicates that overdue fees stay on the regulatory schedule. What does this signify for you presently? Your overdue fee is nearly definitely still $30 to $41 if you skip a payment at a major institution. The $8 limit is not active. The fresh examination might result in something, or it might not. Do not presume any safeguard exists that does not. The useful step: arrange automatic minimum payment on each credit card account you possess. Not the entire balance, merely the minimum. This stops an overdue fee from activating even if you overlook, travel, or become ill. You can continue paying extra manually, but the automatic minimum payment serves as your protection against a $41 fee for missing a due date. And here is a detail most individuals remain unaware of. If you do receive an overdue fee, telephone the number on the reverse of the card and request them to cancel it. Most major credit card providers will cancel an initial overdue fee on an account with a perfect payment record. No inquiries made, no extended justification needed. One telephone conversation, one courteous appeal. This succeeds much more frequently than individuals anticipate, and still most card owners never attempt it. Matter 2. Healthcare obligations and credit files, the confusion, harming credit ratings. The second matter concerns healthcare obligations, and there exists a common confusion regarding the present regulations that could be placing your credit rating at major jeopardy presently. Across recent years, you might have noticed headlines stating that healthcare obligations are being eliminated from credit files. This is partly accurate, yet greatly misinterpreted. And the difference between what individuals believe the regulation indicates and what it truly indicates is where credit ratings are becoming harmed. Here is the precise present situation. The 3 primary credit agencies, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, implemented optional practices, not federal statute, to cease listing certain categories of healthcare obligations. Under these optional practices, healthcare obligations that have already been settled will no longer show on your credit file. Healthcare obligations below $500 will not show on your credit file. Healthcare obligations that are in collections yet younger than 1 year will not show on your credit file. Observe what is absent from that roster. Healthcare obligations above $500 that stay unsettled and have remained in collections for over 1 year can still show on your credit file and can still harm your FICO rating substantially. These practices are also optional. They lack support from federal statute. A Biden period federal regulation that would have converted these safeguards into statute was nullified by a court in 2025, meaning the safeguards that exist presently exist solely because the agencies elect to respect them, not because a statute demands it. The useful verification, visit Annual Credit Report.com. That is the official complimentary credit file website required by federal statute. Obtain your files from all 3 agencies. Examine particularly for any healthcare obligation listings. If you discover a healthcare obligation above $500 that you consider is incorrect, outdated, or that you have already settled, you possess the authority to challenge it straight with the agency. Challenges are complimentary and must be examined within 30 days. If you discover healthcare obligations that are correct and unsettled, focus on settling anything above $500 that has remained in collections for over 1 year. Matter 3, purchase now, settle later. The quiet credit rating danger. The third occurrence is surprising seniors because the offerings involved were deliberately promoted as secure options to credit cards. Purchase now, settle later offerings. Companies like Affirm, Afterpay, PayPal Pay later permit you to divide a purchase into installments, frequently interest-free for briefer durations. For years, one of the advantages was that they stayed hidden from credit agencies. That has shifted. Beginning in 2025 and growing throughout 2026, major purchase now settle later suppliers started listing account details to Experian and TransUnion. Each occasion you start a fresh BNPL account, it might show as a fresh credit check and reduce your average account duration. Skipped payments might be listed as delinquencies. Several open BNPL accounts can influence your credit usage computation. For an individual with an 800+ rating constructed carefully across decades, this represents a quiet danger. If you are intending to request a mortgage refinance, home equity loan, or vehicle loan within the coming 12 months, refrain from starting fresh purchase, now settle later accounts during that time frame. The effect on your rating could strike at precisely the incorrect time. Matter 4, credit card benefits. The proposal that could alter everything. The 4th section concerns the credit card benefits programs that numerous seniors have gathered points and miles in across years or decades. The Credit Card Competition Act has been presented multiple occasions in Congress and keeps being argued. The proposal would compel major credit card networks to permit retailers to direct transactions via a rival payment network, comparable to what Congress performed with debit cards in 2010. Banks and card firms claim that if this proposal succeeds, the interchange charges that support benefits programs would decrease, and they would react by reducing or removing cash back, airline miles, and other benefits advantages. The proposal has not succeeded. It is not statute, yet it keeps being examined. The useful thought: if you have gathered a substantial quantity of airline miles or credit card points that you have been storing for a major redemption, Recognize that those points represent an unprotected advantage that the card provider can alter or lessen at any moment under most card contracts, whether this proposal succeeds or not. Utilizing benefits you have already obtained rather than storing them endlessly constitutes generally superior approach than awaiting an ideal opportunity that might never arrive. The full overview here places everything together. Credit card overdue fees stay $30 to $41 at most major institutions. The $8 limit was eliminated in court and is not presently active. The CFPB started a fresh examination into overdue fees on July 7, 2026, which may or may not result in fresh regulations. Arrange automatic minimum payments on each card to safeguard yourself, and telephone to request a cancellation if you receive an overdue fee. Healthcare obligations below $500 and settled healthcare obligations do not presently show on credit files under optional agency practices, yet unsettled healthcare obligations above $500 that are older than 1 year still can. Obtain your complimentary credit files at Annual Credit Report. Calm and Verify Purchase Now Settle Later offerings now list to credit agencies. Starting several accounts or skipping payments can influence your FICO rating in manners these offerings never previously did. And benefits points you have already obtained are valuable to utilize rather than endlessly storing. Prior to departing, my handbook, the Social Security Survival Guide, addresses 6 additional principles that are silently impacting senior finances presently. The IRMAA surcharge you might be overpaying and the single form that undoes it. The joint account error that places your savings in danger. The inherited IRA timeframe most households overlook. The bank reporting principles most individuals misinterpret. And the WEP and GPO that certain seniors remain due presently. 44 pages, straightforward language, actual 2026 numbers. Everything together. The link appears in the description below. Share this with an individual you know who possesses a credit card and would desire to understand what shifted prior to their upcoming statement appearing.